So I'm back to tell you the story about how I found I had cancer in my eyes. So being diabetic, you know, it's very important for us to get our eyes checked. So I was going to my doctor, and she is a great doctor. And so, you know, me and my mom, we both were going to her at one point. And so, you know, my mom kind of noticed that I had like a little bubble over my right eye. And so we kept saying, oh, it's just sinus, it'll go away. And so we went to her, we told her, you know, can you check to just see, you know, what you think this could be, because it's not going away. So she started kind of feeling around on my eyes. She was just like, you know, something's not right. So she sent me to another eye specialist. So I went to the eye specialist, and they didn't know exactly what it was either. And then I went to another one, and they didn't know as well. So, you know, of course we said, well, let's try Emory. So we went to Emory, and my doctor has named Dr. Hayek, and he's a really good doctor. And so he said, well, the best thing to do is just to, you know, just take a biopsy of it. So they had to actually, you know, cut my eye and take a little piece and do a biopsy on it. And so my mom kept saying, you know, then she came to me and said, well, you know, we have to go back to the doctor. And not really, you know, knowing what the news was going to be. I just knew I was going back to the doctor, you know, just to find out the results. So I kind of knew something was wrong because, you know, you have my dad there, you know, of course my mom, but you have my aunt, you have my uncle. And so, you know, when the doctor came in and he just told us what it was, I was like, at first I was like, you know, okay. And I'm like, okay, so what, you know, what do we need to do? And so he was very honest. He was saying, you know, we've seen it, but we don't know too much about it. And so my mom, you know, called insurance companies and, you know, talked around to other people. And we ended up going to MD Anderson, which is a very well-known hospital. A lot of people come over to this hospital from different countries. And the thing about MD Anderson is that depending on the type of cancer you have, they actually have people who actually just work on that type of cancer. So they really, you know, all their work is just dealing with that cancer. And so basically we head on up to Houston, Texas, and it was definitely a lot of money, you know, trying to find somewhere to stay, because I had to be there, I think, for almost 2 weeks. And mind you, I had just started like working at my school. So, you know, having to take FMLA and having to go up there. But my mom, my aunt, my dad, we, you know, went up to Houston, Texas, and I had to do a lot of tests. I had to, you know, first you had to go to the eye doctor, and Dr. Smiley was the one who actually just was checking my eyes, and she did more of the ophthalmology part of it. Then you had I had another doctor. He's retired now, but he did the cancer part of it. And then you had my main doctor, who dealt with like the radiation and the chemotherapy. And but the test I had to go through, I had to go through them actually doing a bone marrow thing. So they take those 2 needles and they want to put in your back. And at first they were telling me, oh, you know, you can take it without medication. And I was just like, no, I'm not getting those needles poked into me without, you know, medication. And so, you know, mom was working out. So she called and was just like, no, my daughter's not going to go through that. And actually we were on our way back home. So it's kind of like, okay, we need to go ahead and do this test because I have to, you know, going back home. And so found they were able to rearrange it where I could take it, you know, basically being put to sleep to do it. And I actually had to sit in a wheelchair because, you know, they didn't want you to move too much after having that. And so then not only did I have to do that, I had to do an endoscopy and colonoscopy at the same time. So that's where, you know, they kind of go down through your throat, through your stomach, And then they have to, also, the colonoscopy. Then had to go through a machine where, they had to put the dye in you. And it actually, when you go through the machine, it does really feel like you're actually like using on yourself, because it warms up your whole body. And sometimes it can be, nice. And then sometimes it can be really hot when that stuff is going through your body. And also had to do an MRI where you have to, stay still. And I think they had to actually put a mask over my face to actually do the MRI. And the first time I did it, it was fine. I think I kind of fell asleep because I was just so tired from taking so many tests. But the second time I had to go up there, I actually had to press the button for them to let me out. And then also I had to go through a machine where they had to take a thing and actually put it through your bottom to even check to make sure you didn't have cancer or whatever. And so it was a lot to go through with the cancer. But finally, my doctor, because she knew I was diabetic, she didn't want to give me too much of the radiation. So she said, well, let me just try a small dosage of it and see if that will work. And so basically, they did a radiation. When you do radiation, they have to make a mask for you as well. And it's just that part that was open so that the radiation doesn't go to any other part of your body. So I did that, and then I had to come back for a follow-up to just see, if the cancer was still there, if it went away. And, by the grace of God, when I went back, it was gone. And I forgot to mention my uncles and the deacons at the church. I used to go to Ebenezer Baptist Church. And when I tell you they prayed for me, I mean, from the time that I was getting on the plane from Atlanta to when I landed in Houston, Texas, when I was actually on my way, to my appointments, they would call and pray for me. So I would like to say a big thank you to those deacons and my uncle Wynn. And I'm telling you, prayer does really, it really works. And so I was just, very thankful, because I've had other family members who've had cancer, and it's been very hard for them. And so I just encourage you that sometimes it's not good to just sit and wait because you think everything is okay. It's just by the grace of God that when we went to my eye doctor to see what was going on, and when I got to MD Anderson, they told me that, because they caught us so early, they were able to do something. And at that point, the cancer was not aggressive because I caught it at a good time. But had I just been like, oh, it's nothing, it's just my sinuses, whatever, it could become, very aggressive. So thank you guys for listening to my story. Hopefully it wasn't too long. And again, please, share and subscribe to our channel. And thank you guys so much.